In this video, I'm going to show you how to create an amazing poster design in Photoshop. Grab your mouse as we dive in. First and foremost, we are going to create a new document. Then we are going to choose a solid color. Create a new layer. Grab a soft round brush. Opacity is set to 100. So we are going to set the foreground to this hex code. Hardness is set to 0. Then we click once. We are going to create a new layer. Grab a soft round brush, set foreground to white. Make the brush bigger by the right bracket key and click once. Then we are going to set the blend mode to overlay and reduce the opacity. We are going to create an exposure adjustment layer. The layer selected, we are going to set the blend mode to multiply. With the mark selected, we grab a soft round brush. Foreground is set to black. Opacity is set to 100. We increase the brush size by the right bracket key and make a few clicks. Now let's grab our assets for this tutorial. So first and foremost, we are just going to select all these items holding down shift, then we copy, Ctrl C to copy, Ctrl V to paste. Right click and convert to smart object. Ctrl A, then we center that vertically. We are going to position this very well. So let's grab the text, Ctrl C to copy, Ctrl V to paste. It's left with the onion rings and the Pringles, so we hold down shift and select the two. Then we copy, Ctrl C to copy, Ctrl V to paste. Right click and convert to smart object. Ctrl J to make a copy. Ctrl T, right click and you rotate 90% clockwise, 90 degrees clockwise. Ctrl J to make another copy. Ctrl T, right click and we are going to flip that, rotate that. Now we are going to position these onion rings around the Pringles box. We can put that off. Then we are going to apply a curves adjustment layer. Reduce the opacity. With this layer selected, we are going to create a solid color. Copy this hash code. With a solid color in place, we are going to select the mask. Grab the gradient tool. Foreground is set to black and background is white. We zoom out. And we are just going to drag this way. So we are going to grab a soft tone brush. Reduce the brush size by the left bracket key. And then we are going to change the roundness. So we are going to reduce the roundness to 9. Foreground is still set to black. Reduce the opacity. And we are just going to make some few clicks around this side. So we are going to reduce the opacity. Reduce the opacity. Then we can bring the onion rings back. So with the layer selected, we are just going to create a mask and make it go around the Pringles. So with the layer selected, we create a mask. Then we are just going to reduce the opacity. Reduce the opacity. And we are going to create a selection this way. And we are going to create a selection this way. With the mask selected, we are going to right click and fill. We are going to fill with the foreground color, which is black. Anything in black disappears, so it is gone. Then Ctrl D with it select. Take opacity back to 100. Then we are going to press Ctrl J to make a copy. And we are going to rotate that. All we have to do is take care of the marks, and we are just going to erase, we are just going to paint some back. So all we are just going to do is take care of the marks by painting some back. With the mark selected, we are going to set the foreground to white, hardness to 0. With this layer selected, we are going to create an exposure adjustment layer. Clipped onto the layer so the effect applies only to the layer. With the mask selected, Ctrl I, we grab a soft tone brush. Reduce opacity, set hardness to 0, set foreground to white, and we are going to paint some shadows. You are going to create another exposure adjustment layer. Hit onto the layer. With the mask selected, Ctrl I to invert. And we are going to paint some shadows. With the layer selected, we are going to create a curves adjustment layer. We are going to create another exposure adjustment layer. Clipped onto this particular layer. With the mask selected, Ctrl I to invert. We grab a soft sand brush. Foreground is set to white and we are going to paint some shadows. We are just going to be clipping exposure adjustment layers. We invert the mask and we paint some shadows. With the mask selected, Ctrl I to invert, we grab a soft sand brush. Foreground is set to white and we are just going to paint some shadows. Same way for highlight. So this is for highlight. So it's basically creating curves, applying exposure adjustment layers, inverting the marks and painting some shadows. So now we are going to head on to create some contact shadows. So with this layer selected, we are just going to create a new layer. Set opacity to 100. Hardness is set to 0. Then we are going to set foreground to black. So we are just going to set roundness to maybe around 9 or 6. That's okay. We zoom in and we are just going to click once. We click once, we click once, undo, we click once, then we click once. So we want all the shadows to be separate. We have this on a new layer, so we are going to create another layer. Then we are just going to click again. So we are separating all the shadow layers so that we can manipulate them anytime we want. Create a new layer. So we're going to create a curves adjustment layer. Reduce the opacity. We are going to copy the hex code with the layer selected. We are just going to create a solid color. With the layer in place, we are going to set the blend mode to linear dodge. Then we go for blending options. So we right click and select blending options. We are just going to move these sliders a bit. Hold Alt and we can break the handles and move the slider just this way. And we click OK. With the mask selected, Ctrl I to invert. We grab a soft brush and we are just going to paint. Reduce the opacity. Foreground is set to white. And we are just going to paint. So we are going to create a new layer. Grab a soft brush. Foreground is set to this hex code. Make the brush bigger by the right bracket key. Opacity is set to 100. And we click once. So we are going to set the blend mode to linear dodge add. Reduce the opacity. We are just going to position this. Once we have everything in place, we are just going to press Ctrl Alt Shift E to merge all layers. Let's click and convert it to a smart object. Then we go for camera raw, so filter, camera raw filter. We're just going to be playing around all these. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Till next time, stay creative.